Hello, and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. Delighted to be joined by Brighton and Hove Albion striker and Republic of Ireland international Aaron Connolly. Firstly, Aaron, thanks so much for giving up your time.
That's all right, no worries.
How are you coping in this, I suppose, pandemic? I seen you had a brace on your ankle and stuff like that. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, just got a little bit of surgery about 3-4 weeks ago, just to repair a couple of ligaments that were out of place after a training ground like injury, but all good now. Just trying to get on the mend and just get fit again.
On the road back then, hopefully.
Yeah, soon enough. Hopefully, a couple more weeks. Just a bit more stuff with the physio on that, and hopefully be back fit. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose in a way this break probably couldn't have come at a better time. I know it's a worldwide pandemic in that sense, but I just mean in terms of your football wise, it's kind of been a little bit beneficial in some ways if you have to take some positives from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird time for everyone. I think just the whole situation. I don't think anyone can get used to or prepare for something like this. So yeah, I mean, the injuries come at a good time considering we're not playing football matches. But I think I've said before, I'd much rather be sitting in the stands watching the boys and alongside 30,000, 40,000 finish the season off. Everyone's healthy and all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, that's the way it is now, and it looks like maybe I might be back for the restart of the season, whenever that is. So, I mean, it's coming at an all right time.
Yeah, and internationally as well, because of the playoffs and stuff like that, they're obviously going to be pushed off to a time where you won't be injured. So in that sense, in a way, that's a little bit of a positive. But you say we can't wait to get the football back. And since we have you here, we're going to talk to you about your footballing career. Growing up in Galway, what was that like? When did you, I suppose, when was the moment when you realised you loved football?
Um, Moment I realised, from what I can remember, 4 or 5 when I first started playing for my local club. I think everyone probably says, "Oh, when I was this age, that age," but it definitely was. Just fell in love with it. Just loved playing football. Loved being with my mates, and even at home, first thing I'd do after school is before I'd even take my uniform off, my mum would go crazy. I would go straight into the garden, hit the ball against the shed a couple of times with my brothers or something like that, because we'd always used to break the goals that mum or dad used to buy. So yeah, it's been a young age, and I've loved it for 10, 15 years.
Was it like was it a World Cup or anything like that, or was it just playing out in the streets or watching an Ireland game or any football game? What was there any particular moment that stands out in your mind?
Um, One moment that stands out in my mind is Henri's goal against Real Madrid in 2006, I think it was. I don't know
For
what it
Arsenal?
was, just about that whole, yeah, for Arsenal. Henri's someone that, like, literally, if Thierry Henry walked in right now, I wouldn't know what to do. He's my favourite player, and that moment, like, when he scored that goal, I think that made me like football even more and like Arsenal even more and Thierry Henry even more. But obviously, a couple of years later, he changed that around a little bit.
I was gonna wait for you to say that. Michael Obafemi, I did a video with him,
Yeah,
and he said the same thing that Henri was his idol growing up as well. I think I remember that goal. It
yeah,
was in the Champions League, wasn't it? He went by a fair few players
yeah,
and stuck it in the far corner.
yeah. That was the one. Yeah. Mm.
I remember it well. But I suppose from that point, talk me through your kind of early days, your first football club, and getting playing, scoring. I suppose.
So my first football club was Oranmore, like a local team in my local village in Ireland, and played with them for, I'd say, well, from about 4 or 5 till about 11, 12, and then I moved on to Mervue. Obviously, I think Mervue's a lot better known in Galway or in Ireland. So I kind of made that step with the hope that I would be able to push on further in football. With the likes of like Ryan Manning and Greg Cunningham coming out of Mervue, playing for us, going across the water. That's something I wanted to do. And Ryan played with my older brother. Played with my older brother for a couple of years. So I've seen Ryan like play all the way up with Mervue. So that made me want want to move there and push on. So that's how it came about. And then obviously from then on, it once I moved to Mervue, that's when I started taking football like 100%. I was going to give everything to it.
And what age were you at Mervue, Aaron? When you
So
first
I was
went there,
12 when I first. I think I was 12 when I first went there. 11, 12. And we got to the All Ireland final, I think 2 years after that. And I think that was kind of the reason why I did move to Mervue, because I wanted to play in them sort of like finals and competitions and get far in them and stuff like that. And obviously give myself the chance to like be in front of scouts or international scouts or managers. And yeah, thankfully I did eventually move on to there, because it was a decision whether I could, if I'm good enough, I'll make it. I'll be spotted at my old club. But then I thought I need to give myself a bit of a better chance, so that's why I did go there.
Yeah, well, as you say, Oranmore were a fairly local club, really. I think Mervue are a bit more known around the country, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Oranmore were brilliant to me and brilliant. Like, I loved playing for them, and they were the reason I started football, because it was such a close club to my home, and it was 2 minute drive, I'd say, and I'd be there playing with my mates and everything. So yeah, it was obviously I'd spoken for a couple of years about moving on to Mervue, but when I did, I think it was the right thing to do.
Okay, brilliant. From there then, when was you start getting opportunities? Was it always just Brighton, or did you have other clubs interested? You spoke about scouts there. Were there scouts coming to your games watching you?
Yeah, there'd be scouts once I started getting into the international setup more so, because obviously in Galway you don't get as many scouts as, for example, if you were playing for a Belvedere or a St. Joseph's, where there's scouts out there every week. So I think it was, you had to play against the St. Joseph's or the Belvederes in the cup competitions to probably express yourself a bit more and to be seen a bit more doing against teams like that. So once I did get into the international setup, I remember it was the International Cup during Mayo in Castlebar, that tournament. So it would have been that one where Brighton looked at me, and I went to Brighton. It wasn't my first club that I went to on trial. I went to Villa after the Kennedy Cup. Went to them, a couple of different clubs. But once I went to Brighton, liked the place, liked what I seen, and then I just signed after a couple of months. Seen a few other clubs obviously after Brighton, but no, I knew kind of when I went to Brighton that it was going to be a good club for me.
There seems to be a real good buzz around Brighton. There's a lot of Irish there. Correct? Is there some director who is Irish and he's bringing people over? I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, John Morland. He was. I think I can't remember exactly what he was in the FAI, but he was definitely. I think he might have been head of something in the FAI, and he moved on to Brighton obviously, and he got a couple of us over. I think that's where most of the Irish links do come from John. So yeah, once I went over, I met John, spoke to me about what the club's like and what they expected from me and stuff like that, and I kind of knew straight away that it was they definitely, the way they were talking, that they wanted me, and it wasn't just one person or two people. It was quite a few of them that wanted me to come, so I felt kind of welcome straight away.
Yeah, well, that's good though, because you often hear footballers saying, like, I did a video with John Egan last week saying, a lot of clubs tell you stuff that you want to hear, so you'll obviously go there,
Yeah. No, I don't think. Obviously, some clubs do say that, and I did. Sometimes you might think in the back of your head, "Oh, Brighton just saying that. Are they another one of the clubs that are saying that to get you in?" But once I actually got in and signed the scholarship and signed my first contract, nothing changed. Just because they got me, nothing changed. They were still the same as when they wanted me to come there. It was just about me putting in the effort now. They put in the effort to get me there, so it was about me putting in the effort to stay there.
Yeah, well, when you were over there, did you know the likes of Jason Malumbi, Dan Mandreo, and these lads were already there? I know Shane Duffy, I think, would have been already there when you were there, but did the lads go over with you? Were they already there, or what was the story there?
So I'd done one trip international with Jason, with the year above, with Jason's age, the 99s, a couple of weeks before that. So Jason, I kind of knew Jason. That manager, I didn't know him at all. He didn't like me for the first 2-3 months, and he could tell you that himself. Tom Byrne was there as well at the time. Who else was there? Rian O'Sullivan. And then obviously with the 23s, it was Desi Hutchinson, who once I did get into 23s, I'll probably touch on that later on. Desi was brilliant with me. I think Duffs was signed that same summer that I signed. I think he came from Blackburn later on in the summer. So yeah, there was a lot of Irish there at the time.
Like Chris Hughton would have been managing then if Shane was there.
Yeah, Chris Hughton was there. I think that was his start of his second season in charge. I think that would have been the start of the second season, but yeah, I think that was a factor as well and why I did come, because he's an Irish manager, and I was hoping that the Irish in me would be a benefit for myself if I was to get into the first team. But obviously, it worked out different ways, and that wasn't the case for however long. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it seemed to be that you were liked by him. Did he give you your debut?
Yeah, he gave me my debut against Barnet in the EFL Cup. Same one that he gave Jason his debut. I think Jason started. I came on, I think, last 10-15 minutes. I think that's when Jason kind of made himself known even more to the gaffer in that game. I think he got man of the match. Everyone was talking about him, and I think he was in and out of squads with the first team from then on. But I didn't get much of a chance in that game to make an impression, which is no fault of the gaffers or anyone else's. I think he wanted to win the game, and I was 16, 17 at the time. So obviously I was delighted with 10 minutes. I would have been delighted with 10 seconds, I think.
Yeah, well, I wanted to kind of touch on you before I went into the under-23 season where you got Player of the Year. Just Shane Duffy and his influence on you, and I suppose Jason and the other lads that were there. There's a good few years now, and obviously there was Dan's back at Bowes now. I'm sure Shane was looking after him with you as well. What was it like having him there? I see pictures of you. It's like tall and small. I think it might have been after the Georgia game. But he seems to really take a liking to you, and seems to be always there with you.
Yeah, Shane's he's brilliant with me. To be fair, I've come into the change room this year, and I sit beside Shane in the changing room, and yeah, I don't know. He's a funny guy. Yeah, he's looked after me a lot. He's looked after me a lot than I'd expect. Like, I know he's Irish and stuff, but he does look after me. He's always trying to get me to do the right things and stuff like that. And obviously he helped Dano. We were all like, he helped Dano a lot when he was there. He likes Jason. I think it's a fact, like, not even that I'm just Irish. He looks after anyone that'll come in. If I was English or if I was Brazilian or Scottish, I think he'd look after everyone the same. So no, he's a good guy, and he's looked after me a lot since I've come in.
Yeah, well, talk to me a little bit about your bromance with Jason and Dan. You seem very quite close on social media. I imagine when you are together with the Ireland setup, whether it's under 21s or whatever, the buzz is quite good.
Yeah, yeah, them two. They lived together when I first came over, and when me and Dano started getting along, and I think Jason was with the 23s and stuff like that at the time. So me and Dano were in the 18s changing room, so we got to know each other. Keep laughing, just thinking back on some of the things then too, and that we were all doing when we were in the club together. Dano was the funniest person you'll ever meet, and just some of the stuff he says to Jason would just have you in bits for days. He just slags Jason off so much; it'll have you in bits for days. And the two of them, they were my best friends when I was over there, and Jason still is, and obviously Warren O'Hora's come into that as well. So them three have definitely made Brighton a better experience and a better place to be.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to ask for any stories. Judging by your laughing there, they don't seem too suitable for the airwaves, do they?
Nah, I wouldn't be able to say any stories, I don't think.
No bother. Well, we have one, I think, at the end, and we'll come back to that one. But talk to me
Yeah.
about your under 23 season, where you won under 23 player of the season.
Yeah, it was a crazy season, to be honest. I think the season before I'd gone on a 3-4 months where I hadn't scored, and then I got injured. So, and then when I came back, scored a couple of goals, and obviously the next season I was thinking, am I going to be put out on loan to a lower league squad or a lower league side to try and show that I can still do what I was doing when I first came into the 23s, when I was scoring goals. And obviously I was doubting myself a lot, but I just trained hard during the summer. Was in the gym quite a lot during the summer, trying to just get physical, like up to the strength of most of the other boys. And yeah, the first 6 months was crazy. I think I got 17 goals or something in 6 months. And then obviously I tore the hamstring, but no, it was a crazy season, and it's definitely helped me get to where I am now.
Yeah, well, I spoke to you after the Armenia game. I think you were playing on the left side that night. You set up the goal for Troy, I believe. But from from that chat I had with you, you just kept mentioning the word hunger. You're hungry for more. You're hungry for more, and you went on from there to make your debut then for Spurs, and obviously Ireland after that. But we'll come to that. But just, is that something you always grew up with? That hunger to drive you on for more.
Yeah, that's always been. I think if you spoke to any of my coaches before, they'd say the same. I've always just been hungry to try and be a professional footballer, and I thought once I have got that chance to be one, I thought I'm not going to lose that, because that's what's got me to the under-18 squad at Brighton. So I always wanted to keep that hunger and to keep going. And now that I've got into the first team, I don't want that to stop either. I want more like goals. I want more achievements, records, stuff like that. I want to do things that, like people were saying about Robbie Keane a couple of years ago and stuff like that. I want to be eventually, if people look back at my career, I want to be people to talk about me like as one of the better Irish players, or to be close to the top scorer for Ireland or something like that. Yeah, I've definitely always been like quite a hungry player, and I don't think that's gonna come out of my game no matter what.
Well, I will touch on Ireland later on and working with Robbie and stuff like that. But I think that would be music to a lot of Irish fans' ears that will be watching this. Um, so after the 23 season, or was it towards the end of it? I can't really remember now. But you did go on loan to Luton in their year where they got promoted.
Yeah, I went to Luton. I'd signed a contract with Brighton on deadline day, a new contract, and went signed the one for Luton later on that evening. Um, but I'd signed it just after a hamstring injury, and then had the scan after, and the scan said I tore the hamstring. So that was 3 months of that Luton loan spell ended already. So I went there eventually, and I think it was middle of April. I think I played 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I think the experience on the pitch wasn't what I wanted it to be, but the experience I got from the whole thing, being a part of a promotion chasing side, and just seeing the levels that they were at every day for a League One team, which obviously people don't know. I didn't know what League One was like at the time. People think, oh, Premier League's the one, that's it, that's the only league. But I can tell you, League One's tough. I came on against Charlton for my debut there, my professional debut, like for Luton, and it was tough. I'll tell you that it was tough. I thought, if someone said to me a couple of months later you'd be scoring two against Spurs, I would have no chance, because I just I felt like a boy just amongst a load of men on that pitch. Like once I'd gone onto it, but I think the experience I took from being around seasoned pros and players who wanted to get promoted, and they had to win games, because obviously, say the money in the Premier League or the money in League One, for example, um, they need to win games. They need to win games to get this and that, and they want to go up. And yeah, it wasn't, obviously people look back and say that Aaron Connolly went to Luton, didn't do anything, but the experience I took from it was valuable.
I don't. Well, I've never heard anybody say that. I think a lot of people say when he went there, he was injured, type of thing. I don't think anyone really look at it or would say it in derogatory terms of your loan spell, in my opinion. But at the were you did you come back then before the celebrations, or were you involved in the celebrations or anything like that? And you would have been playing with James Collins, who obviously was your teammate then at Ireland. Then
Yeah, uh, I'd say I didn't really get involved in the celebrations because I felt like I didn't have a place to be involved because they had gone on a 28-game unbeaten run, and once I came my first game, the run ended. They lost 3-1 to Charlton in my first game. So I was thinking, oh my God, what have I got myself into here? And then I think we kind of limped over the line near the end because they'd gone on such a good run, and I think we relied on another result to win. So I was thinking at the time, I was thinking, oh bloody hell, what have I got myself into here? Like, but no, it was who was it that was there? Yeah, James Collins was there. Obviously, I met him then a couple of months later, but the Ireland team started up front with him against Switzerland. But I don't think I played with him when I was at Luton. I think he had come off for me on the 2 games that I had come on. So that was my first time.
that happened
Playing for him,
against
but
Georgia as
he
well.
was good. Yeah, George was it George as well? Yeah, was it Connolly that came off in that game? Wasn't it?
He
I think it
came. I
might have
think he
been
came off
actually.
towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might have been actually. Yeah, so yeah, I mean I think the first week I didn't help myself. We were doing a finishing drill, and what was it? Someone crossed it in from the right, and I'd finished the ball, and the attack was starting from the right. So I've gone to zing the ball back out to the right so they could start the drill again, and Colwell is back to me, and the ball's bounced off his head, the back of his head, and this is my first couple of days there, and he's the main man at Luton, and he turned around. I've never seen anger like that. Like he was fuming about the ball hitting the back of his head, and I didn't put my hand up to say, "Oh, sorry, that was me." So he's obviously found out a couple crosses later it was me, and he's let me know about it. But yeah, that wasn't the best start, and obviously from then on I was a bit like, Jesus, what have I just done there? But no, he's a nice guy, and once I got to know him with the Ireland squad a bit more, I realised how good of a guy he is.
Yeah, well, I suppose with anything in life, once if you kind of don't know someone, and they're gonna maybe react like that, but at least you're cool now. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Onto the under 21s and the Toulon tournament, then, which seems to be a great tool for development for a lot of the players. Stephen Kenny always brings this up, is the fact that so many players were not playing for a first team before that tournament, and now so many are playing for their first team and involved with clubs now. So, in terms of development, how good is it as a tournament, and how much did you enjoy it with Ireland?
I think everyone enjoyed it. I think that all the boys will say the same. I know it was 3 weeks. We were all together, and I think people got on each other's nerves and stuff like that. But I can definitely say it helped me going into that pre-season. It made me fitter because obviously I hadn't played for 6 months properly. Obviously, Stephen played me in the game, start me, trust me to start. It was a really good tournament. I think you're seeing kind of snippets of what was to come for most of the boys in that squad for that next season. When obviously we've got Conor Masterson, Darragh O'Shea, who else? Queeveen, Malumbi, obviously, and then Adam was up top, I think.
Yeah.
Who else was in that squad?
Zach.
Some of the players in that squad. Zach, Lee. There was honestly that you could keep going on about that team. It was a
Jason
really good
Knight
team.
as well.
Conor Ronan. Yeah, Jason Knight as well. Conor Ronan. There's a lot, honestly, the amount of players, and I think Stephen's right to bring it up how many players have got into first team, because it's a lot. Since that tournament, a lot of players have gone on to play in the first team. And I think the exposure that we got from that tournament helped, and the fitness going into that next season, and obviously training and playing under Stephen and Keith and Jim helps everyone. I think it helped everyone 100%. And yeah, it was just overall it was a really good tournament. And if I had the chance to do it again, I would. But hopefully I'll be in the senior squad or something like that. So.
Yeah, did you from the now just kind of, this is just me asking off the cuff here, but Did you foresee yourself from the Toulon tournament to playing in the first team in that short span of time?
What do you mean, like going from the 21s to the first team in that little space of
Yeah,
time?
that window. Because even when I spoke to you after the Armenia game, it wasn't really, you weren't expecting you to jump straight up into the first team straight away.
No, I see. I definitely wouldn't have done that. That tournament for me was probably because I was 50-50 whether it was a good idea to actually to go and play so many games in such a short space of time, considering I hadn't played properly for 6 months, to see would I be all right to go into the next season, and would that hamstring go again next season, because I've gone straight back into it. So obviously I got picked, so I was never going to say no. Whether my hamstring was hanging off or not, I was going to go to that tournament. So and I'm glad I did, because it just the whole thing was brilliant. But I definitely I couldn't see myself going from there to playing for the first team in however long it was. I think it was 5-6 months. I think probably
In and
less than
around that,
that.
I would say.
I
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. I probably wouldn't have even seen myself going from there into the Brighton first team squad for a pre-season, if I'm being honest. So no, to go from there to Ireland first team in that space of time was definitely a surprise. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll touch more on your Irish, the start of your Irish career, and Stephen, and maybe a little bit about Keith Andrews in a little bit. But going back into pre-season, then Graham Potter as the manager. Chris Hughton, unfortunately, has been he lost his job at that point. Graham Potter comes in. What was he like to get the ball rolling? Did you know him beforehand or anything like that?
I knew the work he'd done at Ostersons, because obviously I'm Arsenal fan, so they beat Arsenal, I think, in the Europa League at Arsenal's ground at the Emirates. So obviously I knew of him. I think most people had, because of the work he'd done at Ostersons, and then he'd gone to Swansea, and yeah, when he came to us, I was thinking he's got a reputation for bringing young players through, and I was hoping I was going to be one of them players, and I'd done everything I could over that little space of time in between Toulon and getting back to Brighton to make sure that I would be one of them players. And he asked me in for a meeting when I came back from my holidays in the summer, and he just spoke to me, and I just said to him, I don't want to go out on loan. I want to play here. I want to play in the first team here. And obviously he said to me, all right, well, if that's what you want, I'll give you that chance to show us that you can play for the first team here. And I always remember he said to me, like, he looked at me and just goes, do you think you're ready to play in the Premier League? And I made sure I did everything. I didn't blink. I just looked at him straight, and I was like, I know I could play in the Premier League. I made sure he knew that I wanted to play there. So that was something I'd always said to myself before I'd met him, that I'm going to tell him I want to play for him in the Premier League. And thankfully he has given me that chance, and I'll be grateful to him for a long time for that.
Would you say that was the real turning point of your career?
Which, meeting the gaffer?
Just saying that to him.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, no, probably not, but I think he kind of could tell that I wanted it and I wanted to play for him, and I was going to do everything I could to play for him, for this team. So I think the chance, when he gave me that chance, I wasn't going to let it slip. When we went to Austria in pre-season, I'd done everything I could. I was eating right. I was doing everything right to make sure that he didn't turn around to me after it and say, right, well, we think you should go out on loan. We think a loan would benefit you more. And when the transfer window shut and I was still there and I was in the changing room, I just said, I'm not letting this slip. I don't want to not be in this changing room and playing for this team.
You seem to have a really great mentality, so that's a huge credit to you, and I suppose your parents in that aspect. I'm sure you get it from them.
Yeah, I would. My parents are the ones that try and keep my feet on the ground, and especially after everything that's gone on so far, they're a big help.
Brilliant. So kind of moving on with Brighton, and the EFL Cup. You score against Bristol. When did things start? Your I suppose your first team getting a run in the team. When did that start to develop? Was that after the Armenia game or before?
I think Armenia. I think I'd made my. Did I make my debut before Armenia? I made my debut against Man City, I think, before the Armenia game. The day before we met up for that week.
Oh, as a sub, yeah.
So that would have been my first game. So the Bristol one would have been the week before that, I think. Would have been, yeah, it would have been. Yeah, so yeah, once I obviously scored against Bristol and I'd got that chance and I'd scored and then obviously made my debut going into the week with Ireland. I think I thought I could have done anything really. I was on such a high after that week, and I didn't when I played against Armenia. I didn't think that I'd go back and I'd have started so soon. Really, like I think it was 5 or 6 games in. I think it might have been two or three games after the Armenia game that I got my start, and I don't think if someone said to me, "What do you think this game's going to go like today?" I wouldn't have said I'll score 2 goals or anything like that. So it was a crazy couple of days.
Well, as I said to you after the Armenia game, you spoke to me about you were hungry for more, you're hungry for more. But you seemed, from me talking to you, you seemed hell bent on getting in that first team and making the impression. And when the opportunity came, you took it with both hands, or both goals, if you rather. What was that like? Firstly, the start when you knew you were going to start. Secondly, the celebrations in front of the Brighton fans. What was that? What was all that day like from your point of view?
So the day, I can remember my dad thinking, "Are you starting?" Like, kept asking me, "Are you playing?" Because I told him the build up that week. I was in the starting team for training and stuff like that. So my dad had been texting me thinking, "Do you think I should come over? Do you think I should come over?" I was thinking, "I don't want you coming over if I think I'm starting," and then turns around tomorrow and I'm not starting. So he goes, "Joe, I'm gonna come over." So he came over on the Saturday morning, an early flight, I think, because it was a 12:30 kickoff, and he came over. Thankfully, he did. He was there. Mum was at home watching on the TV, and yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just such a blur. Like, obviously scoring the first goal, I think everyone could. I still thought it was going to be ruled off for VAR for some reason. I just thought I've scored now. Surely there's something wrong with this. Like VAR is going to come in and take it away or something. But then, obviously, went over, celebrated. Once we got back, I was still thinking the whole time, even after the celebration, the ball was on the spot. I was thinking, looking up at the boards, thinking, is there a check there? Is there anything? And then, obviously, that one was given, so I was buzzing. And then the second one, I think Donkey played the ball over the top, and I just thought, listen, I'll have a run at them because I think just beforehand, I had a run at them and tried to go down the line. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go inside here. I'm going to try and have a go, see if he thinks I'm going to do the same thing again. So I did, and yeah, I don't know. When I hit it, I thought I'd mishit it a little bit. I looked up and it was going in the corner, and I think everyone could tell from my celebration. I was a bit like, oh, what do I do here now? I wasn't expecting one, never mind two. So yeah, I just gave it arms out in front of the fans. Like, yeah, it was a crazy game.
It was unbelievable. But you spoke at the start there about Thierry Henry. Now, I don't want to speak too nicely about Thierry Henry, obviously what he's done to us, but the goal was very reminiscent of an Henry curl and finish.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. He probably would have done something else with that. He probably would have put the defender on the floor or something and then stuck it in or something. He would have done something 10 times better than what I had done, I bet. But no, I mean, if any goal that I scored throughout my career and someone says it's like a Thierry Henry goal, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Well, off the back of that, you got a call up from Mick. So what was that like? Did he call you that night, or was it the next day, or what went on there?
So basically, that night I was at my girlfriend's house and just there, like just chilling, like just looking through Instagram or Twitter like you do after a game, and I got a text off one of the boys, Adam Webster, because he worked with Mick McCarthy at Ipswich, and he just texted me saying, "Oh, Mick McCarthy's looking for your number," and I was thinking, I could probably get the message up. I sent laughing faces back to him, and obviously some words I can't use in the show. And then literally 5 minutes later, got a call, and I was thinking, it's a bit convenient, like Webby's texting me, and then 5 minutes later, I'm getting a call. I was thinking, surely someone's on the wind up here, like trying to wind me up. But then I was on the phone. I was like trying to listen proper hard. Like, is that his voice? Is that his voice? Once I realised it was, I looked at my girlfriend, I started tapping, I was like, this is like the Ireland manager, like on the phone, and then I came off it, and I just went downstairs, told everyone downstairs there was a couple of people down here, and I was like just packed my bags, was ready to go to the airport in the morning to get on that flight to meet up with the team.
Yeah, well, like at that time, I'm not sure if you were aware. You probably are now, but like it was Connolly mania. Like if you weren't going to be
Yeah.
put in that in that squad, I think that the country were just going to riot. Um, you know, everybody really wanted you in there, and then the fact that you were in there was so good. Was Shane involved with you in that sense? Did he travel with you and stuff like that? Shane Duffy.
No, because Shane had a calf injury, I think, and it was 50-50 whether he'd travel.
Oh, he was touch and
But
go, wasn't he?
yeah, he was touch and go. So he texted me saying, "Well done." He said, "I might be with you during the week." So obviously I'd gone through a couple of days and was in my room. I was obviously a bit starstruck when I walked in, seeing James Coleman and players like that, and obviously James McClean, who I've seen score goals against Wales, and players playing in Euros and stuff like that. So I've walked in, I've been in my room for a couple of days, and next thing I know, the door comes open, and I look in the mirror, and Duff's is just there, and I'd never been so glad to see him in my life. Just just for someone there that I'd know and that could talk to and stuff like that, and yeah, that helped a lot, and he did help me a lot that week. And I think from the pictures you've seen during the week and throughout the week in training, I don't think I left his side. He probably I can tell all the boys, oh, this fella won't leave me alone or something. But no, I didn't leave his side throughout the week because I didn't know what to say. But once I got on the bus and stuff like that, Seamus put his arm straight around me, just said to me, "Come here, sit down beside me." And I was thinking, "Oh my god," my heart was going there, like speaking to him and that, because I was 19. I'm 19, like at the time, play like James Coleman, the career he's had and stuff, and he's saying, "Come on, sit beside me." And he just chatted to me the whole way to training, and it's just stuff like that settles you in and makes you feel at home and makes you feel like you can go out to training and just perform how you want to.
Yeah, I'm actually a massive Everton fan, so Seamus is actually my idol because he captains Everton, he
Yeah,
captains Ireland. He just seems like the nicest man in the world.
yeah, yeah, definitely. He is.
Well,
I think that summed it up really when he pulled me over and just said, "Come on, sit down beside me, have a chat with me." For the 15-20 minutes the bus journey took to train.
yeah, well, I think that's something that people don't see as well. Is obviously Seamus is a bit private, like, but he just seems to be such a great leader on and off the pitch as well, and Shane as well, and Shane Duffy too.
Yeah, they both are. Seamus is a leader on and off the pitch, and as much stick as Duff gets sometimes, he is as well. He even when he's not playing and when he wasn't playing for Brighton and stuff like that, he was always the first one you'd hear wishing the boys well when he goes out, and he'd always be talking even when he was on the bench and stuff like that. So no, they're both real leaders, and obviously whichever one, if Seamus is captain for how many more years, or if Duff's is captain eventually, and I think they're both real leaders. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, and it's obviously good that they both took a liking to you, so that always helps as well.
Yeah,
What
definitely.
was Robbie Keane working with you much over that week? I was at the training sessions and stuff and the press conferences and stuff like that, and I could see him chatting with you and stuff like that. It must have been really good to have someone like him. I mean, he's probably the best player. Well, in my modern terms, I think he's probably the best player I've seen playing for Ireland, other than maybe Roy Keane.
Yeah, it was nuts. Robbie Keane, like just walking in, because the minute I walked in, I'd walked in quite late, I think, because my flight was booked, and I'd walked into the thing, and we were all meeting up that day, and walked in with the what's the word for the, I'm not smart as words, but one of the staff, and they directed me down to where the managers and stuff were, and walked in. They all looked at me, and I had a hat like this on, and before I'd walked in, TC he'd gone like that, get that off before the gaffer seen me. So I was like that, whipped it off straight away and walked in and seen them all. And yeah, it was mad when Robbie Keane was there, and even Mick McCarthy, who I'd met, I think 5 years ago when I was on trial at Ipswich. I'd met him, but he definitely wouldn't have remembered me from then. But yeah, it was crazy meeting Robbie Keane. He was honestly, some of the things he does in training are nuts. Like some of the stuff he does, I won't be able to do that in my 20-year career or whatever it is. So for him to be doing it after, it just shows how good he actually probably was and still is as a player.
Did he speak to you specifically about kind of coming in? Because obviously Mick actually gave him his debut, didn't he? He probably was a little bit younger than you, but he still gave him his debut, and he was probably brought in similar enough to you after making an impression.
Yeah, he did speak to me before the games. He was just like, just go out and enjoy it, just enjoy it. And before the game against Switzerland, when I was starting, he was speaking the whole time in the change room, just telling me how to enjoy it and just soak in the moment and stuff. I remember there was a bit in the elevator before we went down to the bus to get to the bus to the game. He goes, oh, if you score one tonight, it's still 67 to go, I think he said. Because I think he's got 68, didn't he, for Ireland?
Yeah.
60, isn't it? Yeah, so he goes, yeah, that's if you get one tonight, there's still 67 to go. So I know that's probably everyone think, oh, a bit of pressure on him, but it's just a laugh. And I was thinking, well, I can just go out and enjoy myself now, can't I? If they're smiling and joking around like that before a game.
Well, I suppose that made you feel comfortable then at home, and you had Shane Duffy and you had Seamus Coleman. I mean, three really big I was going to say three people with a really big presence. So you spoke about Robbie saying you go in, relax yourself and stuff like that. The Georgia game, there was a bit of pressure on us, but you coming off the bench, I think a lot of people, as I spoke about Connolly mania in Ireland at the time, I'm sure it was a bit like that in Tbilisi as well with the Irish fans. But how did you take that all in, and what was it like making your Ireland debut? Stuff of dreams, really.
Yeah, it was nuts. That whole week, I think every player does probably do it, and some of them probably won't admit it, but they do look at their name on stuff like social media and that to see what's being said. And obviously after that, I was seeing play Connolly, do this, do that. And I was thinking, oh, do I need that? Do I need that pressure? But then I was thinking that comes with it, and I have to be able to deal with it. And once I'd made my debut against Georgia, I was fuming the most. I had two chances, and the one where I was running through at the end, I keep thinking in my head, why haven't I chopped that back on my right foot? I've just panicked and just hit it, and it's bobbled up at the time. And I keep thinking back, what if I chopped that ball inside? And it was obviously gutting. And then after the game, I just was thinking, I don't want to be doing these interviews because I should have scored. And then obviously was getting a bit of like praise and stuff from the media and that, and seeing that maybe I should start against Switzerland. And there was a bit where my parents and my girlfriend had come over for the Switzerland game, and we were all sitting downstairs, we were having a chat and that, and obviously Mick McCarthy came over, said to my parents, like, sat down, chat to my parents for 5-10 minutes, and when he was leaving he said, well, you'll definitely enjoy tomorrow night. So I kind of had a feeling then that I was going to start in the second game once he said that. And even my mum and dad were just like, you don't get many managers, especially who have done what Mick McCarthy's done in the game, coming over to you saying stuff like that, and just genuinely just sat down, wanted to have a chat with my parents and stuff. So that was a nice moment and stuff like that. And once he said that, I switched on in my head that I'm going to start tomorrow, so I need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, Mick's a great man. I don't think he gets enough credit. Even when I know he's gone now, but I sent him a text last week just to, thank him for his time, because as I said, I don't think he really got as much praise as he probably should have. I felt as though he got the fans back on side. There was a bit of period towards the end of Martin O'Neill's reign, and when Mick came in, it kind of got the fans back on side with the team again. But even that, like, he even texted me back just to say, thanks for your support and stuff like that. He just comes across as a really great man.
Yeah, he does. Even after our trip, he texted me saying, well done this week, made a really good impression. And was even texting me for a couple months after saying, oh, he's starting this week, and might get TC to go down and watch you, and he's starting this week, good luck tomorrow, stuff like that. He was keeping in touch and stuff. So yeah, he was a really good guy. I don't think he got enough credit for how good of a job he did actually do, and the person he is.
Yeah, because as I say, he's a gentleman. But see that game against Switzerland. I spoke to Shane Duffy after the Denmark game, which was the last game, but he did speak about how good Switzerland are. I don't think a lot of people realise it. Now you came on that game, but you were moved out of position a couple of times, and it seemed to be from watching you. You just looked visibly frustrated, because you couldn't get into the game.
Yeah, I think it was more frustration. I wanted to do something. I wanted to make
Mm.
something happen, and it just didn't seem to be happening for me. I just whether I was up front or on the wings or whatever, it just I didn't really get much of the ball, or and myself when I did get the ball, didn't do enough with it. And I think it was more frustrating at myself that I didn't have the impact I wanted to have on the game on my first start and stuff like that. So yeah, it probably did come across. I was frustrated, and I looked back at it myself. I was thinking, Jesus, why have I done that? What, like, if I could do that 65 minutes I had again, I'd do it a lot differently than what I done. Because I will say my attitude in that game wasn't great. Like, just looking back on it myself, my arms were up, and I think it was more frustrated and that not being able to do anything to help the team or to make something happen for the team. And I think that's probably where most of the reactions came from, and probably for people looking on, probably thinking this fella's got an attitude problem or something like that.
I can only speak for myself in that regard. I just thought you look, as you said, you looked frustrated because you wanted to do something in the game.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, I wouldn't have said you had an attitude problem, but that's just me.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think my dad was first to say that you did have your arms up quite a lot. Like, you were just throwing your arms up in the air quite a lot, and I knew that myself. And like I said, if I could do that 65 minutes again, I would have done it a lot differently. So yeah, I mean, it's just about going on to the next, and hopefully my third, fourth, fifth, and sixth caps I can make it better than that second one.
Yeah, well, you've been compared a lot to Damien Duff. Now, I know from speaking to you previously, like, you prefer to be played down the middle, so you want to be, I suppose, if you're going to be compared to anyone, as you mentioned earlier, Robbie Keane want to be the person you would want to
Yeah,
be emulating or compared to, wouldn't it?
yeah, it will
But
be.
Duff's not a
Steve,
bad one either.
nah, I mean, I'll take either of them. I'll take either of their careers. I'll take half the careers either of them had. Obviously, I seen after the Armenia game, people were saying I was like Damien Duff or whatever, and I was looking at that thinking, that's unbelievable. Damien Duff, what a player. But then another part of me, like the striker part of me, thought, I don't want to be known as a left winger. I don't want to be no disrespect to Damien Duff. I don't want to be a Damien Duff. I'd prefer to be a Robbie Keane just purely because I'm a striker. But if it came down to it that they said, right, you're not going to play striker again, I'd happily be the second Damien Duff for the next 15 years. Um, but no, definitely, if there was a comparison that I'd want to be Robbie Keane because of where I like to play. But I mean, I'd happily do a job on the left, and if with Stephen Kenny, I played a lot on the left, and if that's where I'm going to play for Ireland, that's where I play for Ireland. I'll happily have people say, "Oh, he's the second Damien Duff." Then,
Well, because we're kind of gradually going on to this, but Stephen Kenny is going to be the manager. Well, he is the manager now. Sorry. There was a lot of Willie, won't he? When's it going to happen? It's all done now. But also, we just spoke about Damien Duff. We just spoke Keith Andrews as well, and you spoke about the Armenia game. Now, I know, and I've heard it as well, is that you get quite angry if you don't score a goal in a game. So the Armenia game, Keith Andrews straight away puts his arm around you. You're coming off fuming. Talk me through kind of your relationship with Keith Andrews, because all these lads you're going to be working with now. Well, sorry, something came up on my phone. All these lads you're going to be working with, all going well when the football gets back. So, what's your relationship like with Keith Andrews then? And what was he saying to you when he consoled you that time coming off the pitch?
my relationship with Keith is brilliant. Like, since I've come into the under-17 setup with Keith, when he was one of the coaches for the 17s, I've just got along with him straight away. He's always looked after me, and then obviously once I made that step to the 21s, there's times where I text Keith and I just say, "You're around for a chat," and he'd go, yeah, meeting room in 5 minutes, and we'd chat for half an hour, just me and Keith, like just chatting about things. And he's always encouraging me, always wanting me to do the right things. And I actually met him about 2-3 weeks ago when we played Wolves away for Brighton, and had a chat with him again. It's just, I think Keith's probably one of the people that I'll always be grateful that they've been part of my journey so far, because of what he's done for me so far. And yeah, he's definitely a person that I'll be thankful to have had helping me since I was 16. So but once that game against Armenia, when I came off,
Hello.
that game against Armenia, once I came off, he just put an arm around me, said something to me. I can't actually remember what he said, but I know it made me laugh, just because he knew that he's come off now, he's angry, he hasn't scored. So I'm going to say something to him to put a smile on his face. So once he did, I went over to the bench and was happy as Larry again.
Yeah, well, as I said to you before, it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're one of those strikers who's just hungry for goals and unhappy that you haven't scored, even if the team have won 6-0. Ruud van Nistelrooy used to do it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, there's times where you have to be, obviously you'd be happy for the team, but as a striker, you have to have that little selfish patch in you, and you want to score goals. So I think every striker is the same, and I think if they say anything different, they're not telling the truth.
Yeah, well, you've worked with Stephen Kenny and Mick McCarthy. You've worked with Robbie, Damien Duff. These are all unbelievable people to work under. What's Stephen like as a coach, and what do you, without kind of jumping too far ahead, what do you foresee with the Ireland team with him? Because a lot of people are excited about his ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the ideas that Stephen's talking about, and obviously in the media and stuff, it's not him just saying it. That's what we do with the 21s. Everything Stephen says, we've tried to put into play, and I think you can see that with our first goal against China, for example, and in the opening minutes of the seconds, I think, of the Toulon, where we've
your goal, yeah.
I think it might have been Zach's one.
Oh, sorry, yeah, in off the bar, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one that Zach hit off the bar. Yeah, I mean, we played around the back a little bit, a little diagonal to the left, got down, got the wingers in, and we scored. So I think everything he said and says to us, we try and put into the games, and it helps a lot when it's constant in training. Like, if we do that move in training and there's a little bit of it that's not right, we have to do that move again, and we'll do that till it's right, and then that move will go into a game and it'll be perfect. So I think everyone, all the fans, I think, will be excited to see Stephen Kenny come in, and I think they have every reason to be, because from working with them this year, it's some of the stuff he does and his coaching techniques are really, really good, and I think they'll come out in games.
Yeah, well, you're one of very few people, I think, that worked under both Mick and Stephen. I know you enjoyed your time under Mick, but is there much of a difference between the two? I imagine they have two different styles, and they're two different people, but in your own perspective.
I think there is two different styles. Obviously, Stephen likes to play to be fair though, in some games that I played with Mick, the games that I played, we did play some good football, but
Switzerland we did, yeah.
Yeah, Switzerland we did. But with Stephen, even with the 21s, everyone feels comfortable getting on the ball and taking a risk, with a pass. I think you see Malumbi this year. I'm not sure how much you've seen with Jason in the 23s, but with Jason with the 23s, he just holds it in midfield, plays it, and just literally, not saying he's a sideways or backwards player, because Jason's passing range is brilliant, but he'll get it, play it to someone else, and then they'll play it forward. But with Jason this year, I think Stephen's given him so much freedom to get the ball, run with the ball, play forward passes. And he's always encouraging him. If he sees Jason playing a backwards pass, it's just an example of Stephen's technique. He won't be happy with that. He'll want him to look forward first. And if you can't play into forward, then backwards your last option. So I think that's kind of the difference in their techniques or styles of management, I guess.
Yeah, well, and also on that, the amount of players that are coming through from 21s already to work with what we have at the senior level, do you think that there's many ready to step up like yourself? Because I know Leo Connor, Troy, but in that regard, it's a very encouraging that these players have been called up and capped and stuff like that. Because again, I go back to you, and you touched on it yourself when you're kind of going in there, and you were lucky in a sense you had Shane Duffy there. As you said, he came into your room and stuff like that. Seamus Coleman was great. But now you'll probably almost have that role when eventually they come through.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that in the years to come, like I can do what Shane done for me with other players and stuff like that, and like look after younger players that come in, and hopefully I'll still be in around the Irish setup at that stage, and if my career pushes on and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of players in the 21s group that I think are definitely good enough to step up, and I think there's a lot of examples from what you've seen from the 21 games. I think everyone in that 21 squad is capable of playing at a first team level for their club, and I don't think it'll be long before we look back at that Armenia game and say, geez, there's 13 of that squad that have made their international debut since that game. I wouldn't be surprised because it is a really good squad and there's a lot of talent in it.
And I suppose it goes to show the great work that's being done at underage level as well, from Jason Donoghue all the way up.
Yeah, it does. I've played, but like I've actually been coached by Jason when he was a coach with Colin O'Brien on the 15s, and it just shows like there's a lot of work on into the underage setup and that, and I think it's starting to like come true now, and it's starting to show with the players that are making their debuts and the youngsters that are coming through and that. So I think it is exciting times.
Yeah, well, the last question for me, in terms of my questions before we get the fans' ones, is just what was the best advice you've been given as a pro?
Best advice I've been given as a pro. I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. I just know my parents have so many bits of advice. I don't think I've got one sort.
It doesn't have to be specifically one, but whatever you think is the best in your.
Just working hard, really. Just that's what I've always believed in. Just working hard, and if like, if you just work hard, the rewards should come and probably will come. But if you take your foot off the pedal for even a little bit, someone will overtake you, and they'll take your spot. It's just like that in football. So I think just hard work's just the way forward for everybody in the game.
And is that what keeps your feet on the ground? I know you spoke earlier about looking through your name and everyone going, Aaron Connolly is God, for example.
Yeah.
Is that how you kind of keep your feet on the ground? Then that kind of you go back to this the hard work that got me there. I can't take a break now. I got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's just like my parents have always tried to keep my feet on the ground, so it's not that hard to do because they're just like my dad after the Spurs game. I remember we were sat in the restaurant and that, and he was like, he had his little 10-15 minutes of like, what just happened? Then he goes, right, we want that again next week, or we want that again. You want this feeling again, so don't let your standards drop, and don't think you've made it now, because you definitely haven't. You can look back and say you've made it once you've made 200 senior appearances. So that's the only time where I'll look back at my career and say, yeah, I've had a good career once I hit 200-300 senior appearances.
Yeah, well, it's always good to have that there. That got a good foundation and infrastructure keeping you grounded. Just a lot of people get away from it, so it's great that he still takes very much an interest in it and kind of keeps your feet on the ground.
Yeah, it is really good. Yeah.
Right. Well, just you've been very gracious with your time as well, so thank you very much for that.
That's all right. No worries.
I'm just going to get a couple of the fans' questions up for you now. I suppose we'll go with the first one from your old teammate and one of your great pals, Dan Mandreo.
Yeah.
So,
what would be your thoughts on some Dairy Lee dunkers?
Oh, see, some of that's the sort of stuff that made me laugh about, like, just Dano and Jason when you mentioned them. They're really dunkers. So I'll tell you that story about that. We had a table, me, Dano, Desi, and one of the Manchester boys for the 23s for away trips, and that was our little table with the four on the table. on the bus, and we always used to stop at one of the service stations on the way up. It was a long trip. Oh, I don't know if I should say this, but it's all right to say, like, there's nothing bad about it. But me and Dano used to stop in. We used to get a pack, like a big 4-pack of Dairy Dunkers. We'd probably get 2 of them between us. Like we'd have 8 of them the whole way up on the trip. There was a competition to see who could get the smelliest fart out of them. So so Desi and Ben Barkley was the other boy that was on the table. So we'd eat that whole pack. Who could get the smelliest fart out of them? Desi and Ben would be there. They'd be gagging like, and me and Dano would be in bits for ages, and we just couldn't wait for the away trips just purely for the Dairy Lee Dunkers, and that's where that question's come from.
When I received the message, that was the last thing probably I was thinking that story was going to end up like.
Nah, he's funny, Dano. I knew he'd ask that question as well.
And a serious head in the video as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right, just get the other one now. Hang on. So I think this lad, he had your jersey, didn't he?
Hi Aaron, my name's Rory and I'm from Galway, but I moved to America a few years ago. I bought this after the Spurs game. My question is, who's the toughest defender you've come up against this year?
Good. It is a good jersey, to be fair. I didn't expect an American to get a Brighton, a Connolly 44 jersey over there, but no.
You got it after the Spurs game.
After the Spurs game.
Yeah.
That's fair enough then. That's probably no one had probably heard of me before that. But no, the toughest defender I played against it's quite an easy one, and obviously in my head thinking of an Irish one, John Egan comes into it because I played against John this year with for a brief, I think it was like 15 minutes I came on, and he was tough. Even watching him playing against Glenn Murray and Neil Maupay, he's proper good defender than me. But it's an easy one, isn't it? Virgil van Dijk. 100%. I don't think there's a better one out there. He's quick, he's strong, he's everything you want in a defender, I think. But he's definitely the best one, no doubt. Without a doubt, best defender, probably best player I've played against this season.
All right. Well, John Egan, I'm sure will be delighted with that as well. What a guy! What a great man.
Yeah.
Right. So this lad, hang on.
Hey Aaron, I was just wondering, who's your footballing idol growing up, and hopefully get to see more of you in Ireland team soon. Cheers.
Yeah, Thierry Henry, 100%. I've said that quite a few times throughout. He was my football idol all the way up until 2009, as I said. I obviously took a year of disliking him after that. But he'll always be my idol. He'll always be the one I looked up to. And also as well, when Henry did eventually retire and stuff like that, it was Fernando Torres. Like Fernando Torres when he was at Liverpool was
Class.
one I used to always look back on his videos and just think, how's he done some of that? Like I can remember one of his goals against United when he held off Ferdinand and smacked it in the top corner. I was thinking, how is he holding off Rio Ferdinand like that? I'm pretty sure it was Rio Ferdinand anyways. So yeah.
Him or Vidic?
I think Vidic was the one where he knocked him off the ball, but I think there was one at Anfield where he was holding Ferdinand off and he smacked it near post, top corner. So that was definitely, yeah, them two, 100%.
That's not two very good ones as well. There's one more. This lad asks.
Well, Aaron, how's it going? I just want to know if you pick Brighton and Ireland in FIFA so you can use yourself all the time, and do you buy yourself in career mode?
Could you hear all that?
Yeah, I heard all that. Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of a career mode at the minute with Sunderland because I like starting off in like League 2 or League 1 to try and get up to the divisions and that and get promoted and stuff. So
you've been watching Sunderland till I die.
Yeah, been watching that as well. Watched that, and it was actually after that I thought, oh, I'm gonna pick Sunderland in this career mode. So yeah, I did. I do play FIFA obviously a lot. Always by myself, whatever team I pick. Always by myself, and I'll probably spend the whole transfer budget on myself. Even though I probably cost about 1 million on the game, I'll spend 11 million if I have to. Like, that's always something I do. I'll just bang the transfer budget straight on, trying to get myself in there, and then during the season, if one player's 1-on-1, I'll try and look for where my player is to get him the top scorer and stuff like that. So yeah, 100% always by myself. Whatever career mode I'm in, I'll definitely by myself.
Well, that's interesting enough. I actually was like, I actually thought you were going to say no.
Nah, I always do. I always do.
No, Herman, did you see that I won the Euros with Ireland on Road to Glory?
Nah, I didn't see that actually. No.
Well, you must go and check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. But I shouldn't have told you we won it.
I'll have a
But
look.
yeah, it was good.
That's good then.
I play. What difficulty do you play on?
I try legendary, but I usually got out of world class.
Well, I won the Euros on world class.
See, I struggle on world class. I think I finished 5th with Sunderland in my first season.
I must give you a game sometime.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Well, what I'll do is I'll text you my gamer tag. Well, Aaron, I just want to say a huge thanks for your time. You spent over an hour, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I want to say a huge thanks for coming on.
Cheers, thanks million. Cheers, thanks for that. Yeah, really good, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
No, but guys, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments as always. What a guest!